My truckers, are you leaving money out on the road? This is something you could be doing simply by skipping your bookkeeping every month. Not many business owners in general, let alone those specific to the trucking industry, know the importance of doing their bookkeeping from month to month. So I kind of want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about why it's important to be doing your bookkeeping and how it could be costing you thousands of dollars every year when you file your taxes. So I got my little notes over here so I can make sure I hit all the high points with you guys. So the first thing I want to talk about is tracking your expenses. I can't tell you how many times I have business owners come to me during tax season ready to file their business taxes, but they really don't know what they spent during the year on taxes. So they're either pulling bank statements, trying to total up all of their expenses last minute, or they're looking for receipts or looking on Cash App, or they're guessing, right? Because if you don't know or if you don't feel like doing the work, you spent some money. So oftentimes they default to guessing. That's the biggest mistake you can make because you could be losing and leaving thousands of dollars on the table. If you don't accurately account for the expenses that you incurred during the year, then you don't get that tax deduction. And doing your bookkeeping will absolutely give you every expense throughout the year down to the last penny if you're doing it right. So the next thing is cash flow management. Oftentimes, I know some companies use factoring. Well, most companies use factoring so they can get paid in a more reasonable time, but not all companies do that. So if you know you got your insurance coming up next month, maybe you got to pay, you got to pay fuel. You don't calculate about how much you're gonna spend in fuel. You got to file your 2290. You got all of these expenses coming up, right? But you don't really know exactly how much everything is. You just know they're coming up. So every week you working, and when it's time to pay a bill, you checking your bank account like, do I got enough money to pay this, that, and the third? Well, if you're doing your bookkeeping or having an accountant do your bookkeeping for you each month, then you can produce reports. They can pull financial reports for you that'll let you know, hey, these are all the expenses coming up in a new month. This is how much money you made last month. This is how much you spent. All these expenses will happen again this month. So you can have an idea. You can be more organized and you can be more strategic with what routes you take, what loads you pick up and not and don't, to make sure you have enough to, one, pay your expenses, and two, pay yourself. Next thing is maximizing deductions year round. So one of the biggest expenses I think for truckers is going to be the per diem. Some of you guys know about that. Some of you may not, depending on what type of tax professional you have. But if you're not tracking what you're spending throughout the year and each day when you're out on the road in some kind of way, then you're going to lose money. And that could be something as simple as tracking your meals. But you can also elect to do the per diem, which is the standard rate federally, but you want to make sure you track it as much as possible because that's going to let you know if it's more cost efficient for you to take per diem or take your actual expenses. Because if you're going to get a bigger tax deduction by taking your actual expenses, we need to take those expenses. The next thing is just being compliant. It's hard to be compliant when you don't know what you got going on. Doing your bookkeeping is going to allow you to make sure you understand what you profited each quarter so that you can pay your quarterly estimated tax payments. A lot of small business owners don't make those payments, and that's why every year when you file your taxes, you owe the IRS this big, large sum of money, and you're all frustrated because you don't know where it's going to come from. Because, yeah, you made that money, but you spend it. So if you're tracking your income, tracking your expenses throughout the year, then you'll know how much you need to be paying quarterly in taxes based on your profit. And when you file taxes, it's going to be a breeze. You're not going to get that large bill because you're going to be on pay your taxes throughout the year, which is like the number one tax hack. It's the easiest thing to do, but it's the one thing most people don't do. And last, well, not last, I got one more after that, but a stress-free tax season. If you do your bookkeeping all year, at the end of the year when it's time to file taxes, you don't have to be stressed and scrambling trying to pull documents together, trying to pull financial statements, trying to do Excel spreadsheets, trying to look at Cash App, trying to, calculate your miles, what you drove, pulling up fuel, logging into your fuel account. You don't have to do all that. All you got to do is literally click a button to produce your annual profit and loss statement and hand it over to your tax person. And they gonna love you for it. Trust me. I know I love when my clients have their bookkeeping done, but I do understand not everybody knows where even to start or where to begin when it comes to doing your bookkeeping. But you will have the most peaceful tax season ever if you do your bookkeeping throughout the year. Have somebody do it, and at the end of the year, you hit that button, pull that profit and loss statement, and hand it over to your tax professional. You don't have to scramble for not a thing, not one receipt, okay? Unless you're audited. And the last that I tried to jump to a minute ago is going to be just your business growth and profitability. When you're doing your bookkeeping, you're able to, one, look at what you actually spend each month compared to whatever your budget is, what you budget to spend each month, so you can know when you're over and under spending. That will allow you to make managerial decisions like, is it time for me to go ahead and invest in some new equipment? Is it time? Do I need to go ahead and buy some backup tires to have sitting aside? Do I want to go ahead and outsource my bookkeeping and have a bookkeeper come on board? Do I want to go ahead and get a dispatcher? It allows you to make managerial decisions, and that will allow you to scale your business because not everything is falling on you. Also, once you have 3, 6, 9, 12 months worth of actual data, your profit and loss over that period of time, you can use that to make projections for the next 2, 3, 5 years. So you can know where you're going to be 2, 3, and 5 years from now. You can use those projections to help you get business loans and business line of credits. Maybe you want to get an investor in your business. If you can show them, hey, based on the last 12 months of spending, this is where I project to be in 3 years and 5 years, you're more likely to get your hands on a little more money so you can buy some more trucks or whatever it is you decide to do with your extra cash. Some people want to invest it. Some people want to jump into real estate. Whatever the case may be, those financials are going to be the key to you scaling your business and getting that growth that you always kind of talked about and dreamed about. So I know that was a lot. I hope it was helpful, but I just want you guys to know in summary that your bookkeeping is more important than you think. It doesn't have to be super expensive, and you also don't want to go to the cheapest person because you get what you pay for. If you are in need of an accountant, or if you would just like to have a conversation to further understand the benefits or see how that looks for you, you can go ahead and go to mastertaxservice.co. And then you can schedule a free consultation. And I want to help you. I'm Deidre Wilson, your truck and tax strategist, and I hope that it was helpful.